Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. At the end of talks in Alaska between senior US and Chinese officials, both sides described the talks as constructive but said that differences remained. The talks began on Thursday and were described by the US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan as tough and direct. From Anchorage, here's Barbara Pletusher.
The talks started with a public sparring match, which laid bare the depth of difference between the world's two biggest powers. But the meetings continued in private, and when they ended, the Secretary of State Antony Blinken said there had been candid conversations on an expansive agenda. He said it was no surprise the Chinese had become defensive at the start because he'd raised pointed concerns about some of their policies and behaviors. China's top diplomat also said the talks were constructive, but he added that, of course, there were still differences. Officials said the two would explore cooperation on areas of common interest such as climate change, Iran, North Korea and Afghanistan.
France and Poland are reintroducing partial lockdowns from Saturday as both countries battle a sharp rise in COVID cases. Around a third of France's population will be required to stay at home. From Paris, here's Lucy Williamson.
After weeks of resisting lockdown, the government is bringing in new restrictions tonight for France's worst affected areas, including Paris. Non-essential shops will close, but hairdressers will stay open, along with bookshops, music shops and schools. President Macron has been counting on France getting vaccinated to avoid another lockdown, but there have been fresh problems with vaccine supply, and a recent survey suggested that just 20% of the population here had confidence in the AstraZeneca jab.
Polish health officials have warned that the British variant of the virus is so rampant in the country that a 3-week lockdown is necessary. Shops, hotels, cultural and sporting facilities are to close. The German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, said that Germany would be prepared to use the Russian Sputnik V vaccine if the European Medicines Regulator approved it. The US President Joe Biden has appealed for unity in the wake of violence against Asian Americans, saying that many of them now live in fear. His comments came in the wake of a killing spree at massage parlours in Atlanta, which left 8 people dead, 6 of them women of Asian descent. Speaking in Atlanta, Mr. Biden called for action to prevent race-related violence.
But for all the good that laws can do, we have to change our hearts. Hate can have no safe harbor in America. It must stop. And it's on all of us together, to make it stop.
The BBC has asked the military authorities in Myanmar to confirm the safety of one of its reporters who's been abducted in the capital, Naypyidaw. Aung Thu Ya was seized by men in civilian clothes and driven away in an unmarked van. His whereabouts are now unknown. World News from the BBC. A volcano in southwest Iceland has erupted following thousands of small earthquakes in the area in recent weeks. The eruption of Fásafjárðarfell, 30 kilometres southwest of the capital Reykjavik, caused the night sky to glow bright red. All air traffic to and from Keflavik International Airport has been halted. Prosecutors in Bulgaria have charged 6 officials from Russia's defence ministry and military intelligence with spying. Bulgaria's chief prosecutor, Ivan Geshev, said the group had been operating for some time and posed a serious threat to national security. More details from the BBC's Vitaly Shevchenko.
The alleged spy ring was led by a former Bulgarian intelligence officer whose wife has dual Russian-Bulgarian nationality. According to the prosecutors, she passed confidential information about Bulgaria and other NATO and EU member states to a staff member at the Russian embassy. The embassy in Sofia issued a statement earlier today warning against what it called as attempts to demonize Russia or drive a wedge between the two countries.
The acclaimed Italian jewellery designer Elsa Peretti has died at the age of 80. Peretti's work with US jewellers Tiffany includes some of their most enduring items. Her open heart, bean and bottle pendants and her bone cuffs are still among the jeweller's most popular offerings. Police in Paris have been left with a bitter taste in the mouth after a suspicious pink powder seized in a raid on a suspected ecstasy-making factory turned out to be nothing more than a harmless strawberry-flavoured confection. They had tweeted that the drug haul was worth more than $1 million, but subsequent tests revealed that the suspicious substance was flavouring used in well-known sweets. BBC News.